All right, let's get into this. This is day 17 of this little lab I'm running, just trying to understand my relationship with AI. And yesterday, I tried to stop one single pattern, just one. And honestly, by the end of the day, I was completely wiped out. And not from the work, but from the simple act of stopping. So this is what I learned. So the day started with this really clear, simple intention. It's 6:47 in the morning, and I tell myself, I will not seek AI validation today. I was all in, fully committed. But then 2:23 in the afternoon rolls around and I caved. I typed my first validation prompt, does this make sense? And I knew it. I knew exactly what I was doing. I remembered my commitment and I did it anyway. That gap, it was 7 hours and 36 minutes. But here's the thing about this number. It's not a measure of failure. It's actually a measure of endurance. It's a hard data point that shows just how long a finite resource can actually last. And that gets to the absolute core of what I figured out today. The slip up at 2:23 p.m., it wasn't because I forgot my goal. I was completely aware of it. The pattern ran itself because I had simply and completely run out of the specific kind of energy it takes to stop it. So what explains that 7-hour gap? It's this idea I'm calling the regulation cost. So what is it? Well, think of it like a constant, invisible energy tax that you have to pay to manually steer yourself away from some ingrained habit. It's not a one-time choice in the morning. No, it's a continuous, active process of resistance. Every single moment that I resisted that urge, I was spending a little bit of this energy. And you can actually see how this cost plays out over the day in these 3 stages. In the morning, you're good. You got fresh resources, your deliberate analytical brain, it's engaged, it's in control. But by the afternoon, after who knows how many other little acts of self-control, that resource is running low. The override just requires more and more effort. And then, finally, you hit collapse. The resource is gone, and your automatic intuitive brain, it just wins by default. The old pattern just runs. You know, the authors of Make Time said it perfectly. If you wait until you get tired, it's too late. This isn't a resource you can just power through with grit alone. You have to manage it proactively, because once it's gone for the day, it is gone. Now look, this isn't just some personal theory I cooked up. This whole experience of depletion, it's actually grounded in some really established cognitive science. The whole model really comes from Daniel Kahneman's work on the brain's 2 systems. You got system 1, which is basically your autopilot. It's fast, it's intuitive, and it costs almost 0 energy. That's the part that wants to ask the AI. And then there's system 2. That's your manual override. It's deliberate, it's analytical, and it burns through your cognitive resources. That's the part that has to actively stop system 1 from taking over. And these landmark studies totally validate this idea of a limited resource. Like there's this famous experiment from Baumeister in 1998. He showed that students who had to resist eating fresh-baked cookies gave up on a difficult puzzle way faster than the students who didn't. See? Resisting the cookies drained the same mental energy they needed for the puzzles. The big takeaway from this stuff is that self-control isn't separate for each task. No, it's a single, shared, and very limited resource. Every single choice we make, big or small, draws from that exact same battery. And just think about what that means for your day. Trying to control your attention in a noisy office, suppressing the urge to send a snappy email, deciding what to have for lunch, resisting the urge to check your phone. All of those things are draining the exact same battery you need to change a deep-seated habit. By 2 p.m., I wasn't just fighting the AI habit, I was fighting it on an already depleted tank. And this brings us right to why AI becomes so seductive. It is the ultimate path of least resistance for a tired brain. You know, my own prompt log from other days is like a perfect mirror for this depletion curve. In the morning, my prompts are sparse, they're deliberate. By the afternoon, they get more frequent and reactive. And by the evening, I'm in a state of collapse. I've literally caught myself asking the AI questions that I had already answered for myself at 8 in the morning. It makes this quote from my own notes just hit so hard. AI isn't showing you your ultimate capability. It's just reflecting your current cognitive capacity. When you're drained, your prompts are going to show it. So here's the crucial point. When your regulation battery is low, the mental effort it takes to just sit with uncertainty, it feels incredibly expensive. And AI offers this illusion of a cheap, easy answer. Typing costs almost nothing. But for a depleted mind, holding an open question feels like it costs absolutely everything. This leads to the most important shift in thinking from this whole experiment. What if we reframe this entire experience not as a failure, but just as data? The poet John Keats wrote this, and it is a perfect lens for this whole process. That failure to maintain the override, it's not an endpoint. It's actually a discovery that's pointing you toward a much deeper truth. And this is the core takeaway. Those 7 hours and 36 minutes were not a sign of weak character or lack of discipline. It was a clean, objective measurement of my actual current capacity for sustained regulation on that specific day, given everything else that was going on. And ignoring these capacity limits, well, it has real costs. Neurologically, you're not strengthening your brain's independent pathways. Psychologically, you're setting yourself up for this cycle of shame by constantly misunderstanding what you can actually do. And practically speaking, you're trying to fix a system without even knowing its true breaking point. So the whole inquiry just shifts. The unhelpful question is, how do I stop this? The really powerful data-driven question becomes, how much of this override can my system actually sustain under real-world conditions? And I just want to be really clear, this is an ongoing documentation, not a success story. I'm still catching myself mid-prompt. Understanding this dynamic, having this awareness, it has not magically refilled my energy tank. The math here is, well, it's brutal, but it's honest. Pushing through and forcing an override when you're already depleted isn't heroic. It's just taking out a high-interest loan on tomorrow's capacity. And that leaves me with the question I'm now tracking every single day. When I interact with these powerful tools, am I actually moving the needle? Am I making progress in clarifying my own thinking? Or am I just moving the mouse because my energy to think for myself has simply run out? That distinction is everything.